How therapy influences communication. Among couples, openness and endurance as key factors. Introduction, couples. Therapy, relationship counseling, and other forms of therapeutic intervention offer structured environments in which partners can observe, analyze, and amend their ways of interacting. Two specific qualities that therapy cultivates, openness and endurance, are particularly vital in transforming communication. Openness refers to the willingness to be emotionally transparent, receptive, and non-defensive. Endurance describes the persistence, commitment, and long-term effort required to maintain healthy communication over time. While openness fosters authenticity and understanding, endurance ensures that these changes are sustained in the face of conflicts, stressors, and the natural challenges inherent in intimate partnerships. This essay explores in depth how therapy influences communication among couples, with a focus on openness and endurance as fundamental tools. It examines the mechanisms through which therapeutic processes facilitate improved communication, the psychological principles involved, and the long-term implications for relational health. It also addresses common obstacles couples face and how therapy equips them to navigate these challenges. Ultimately, the discussion argues that therapy not only enhances the capacity to communicate, but reshapes the very foundation of relational interaction. 1. Communication as the foundation of relational health. The role of communication in emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy depends on the ability to share internal experiences. Thoughts, feelings, fears, desires, and expectations with another person. Communication serves as the medium through which this sharing occurs. When couples communicate effectively, they experience deeper levels of closeness and security. Conversely, when communication deteriorates, emotional distance grows, misunderstandings multiply, and relational satisfaction decreases. In healthy relationships, communication is not merely the exchange of information, it is an ongoing process of emotional attunement. Partners learn how to read each other's moods, understand each other's needs, and respond empathetically. This requires both openness to reveal personal vulnerability and endurance to stay engaged even when communication becomes difficult or uncomfortable. Miscommunication and its consequences. Miscommunication can lead to resentment, conflict, emotional withdrawal, or even the dissolution of a relationship. Often the problem is not the absence of communication, but the presence of unproductive communication. Hostile remarks, defensive reactions, dismissive tones, avoidance, or assumptions that go unchallenged. Without intervention, couples may develop entrenched patterns in which each partner reacts not to the present conversation but to a history of unresolved issues. Therapy aims to break these cycles by helping couples become aware of communication pitfalls and learn new skills to replace them. How therapy shapes communication dynamics. Creating a neutral, structured space. One of the most immediate and powerful influences therapy has on communication is the creation of a neutral environment. The therapist acts as a trained, unbiased observer who can guide conversations in a balanced and fair manner. This dynamic reduces the likelihood of escalating arguments or emotionally charged reactions. The therapeutic environment allows partners to express feelings and concerns they may hesitate to share at home. It also encourages vulnerability by ensuring a safe and controlled context. This safety is essential for fostering openness, as individuals are more likely to reveal their authentic emotions when they feel supported and protected. Developing emotional awareness. Many communication issues arise not from what is said, but from unrecognized or misunderstood emotional states. Therapy supports the development of emotional awareness, often called emotional intelligence, by helping individuals identify their feelings and understand their origin. Couples begin to distinguish between primary emotions, such as hurt or fear, and secondary emotions, such as anger or frustration. When partners learn to communicate the primary emotions underlying their reactions, conversations become more compassionate and constructive. This emotional insight supports openness, as partners feel empowered to express their true feelings rather than masking them with reactive behaviors. Learning communication skills. Therapists often employ specific tools and techniques to teach couples how to communicate more effectively. These may include active listening techniques such as paraphrasing and reflective statements, I statements, which reduce blame and encourage personal ownership, conflict resolution frameworks including timeouts, negotiation techniques, and compromise strategies, emotion-focused interventions which help partners connect with the emotional meaning behind their communication, attachment-based methods which clarify relational needs and insecurities. These skills are essential for building communicative resilience. Once learned, they serve as long-term resources that couples can rely on outside the therapeutic space, highlighting the role of endurance in maintaining communication improvements over time. Addressing underlying psychological patterns. Communication problems often stem from deeper psychological processes rooted in childhood experiences, previous relationships, or unhealed emotional wounds. Therapy helps uncover and address these underlying influences. For example, a partner who grew up in a household where vulnerability was discouraged may struggle with openness. Someone who experienced trauma or abandonment may interpret neutral statements as rejection. An individual accustomed to conflict may unknowingly initiate argumentative patterns. By identifying these sources, therapy provides couples with insights into their own and each other's emotional triggers. Understanding these patterns enhances compassion and reduces blame, paving the way for healthier communication. Openness as a transformative force in communication. Defining openness in the therapeutic context. Openness in a relationship refers to the willingness to share thoughts, feelings, needs, and vulnerabilities honestly and without concealment. It also includes the ability to receive a partner's disclosure without judgment or defensiveness. Therapy encourages openness by modeling it and creating the conditions in which it can safely occur. Openness requires courage. It means admitting fears, acknowledging mistakes, revealing insecurities, and expressing desires. For many individuals, openness is challenging because it exposes them to potential rejection or judgment. Therapy helps partners build confidence in expressing themselves authentically. Vulnerability as an essential component of openness. True openness requires vulnerability. Without vulnerability, communication becomes superficial. Conversations revolve around logistics or daily activities rather than emotional realities. Vulnerability allows partners to articulate deeper sentiments such as, "I feel lonely even when we are together. I'm afraid of losing you. I need your reassurance more often. I feel hurt when you shut down during arguments." Such expressions can transform relationships by fostering empathy, strengthening trust, and dispelling assumptions. Therapy guides couples through vulnerability, often helping them articulate emotions they have long suppressed. Barriers to openness and how therapy addresses them. Common barriers to openness include fear of conflict, fear of rejection or abandonment, shame or guilt, cultural norms that discourage emotional expression, past trauma, low self-esteem. Therapy helps couples dismantle these barriers by normalizing emotional expression and offering strategies for managing fears or insecurities. Over time, openness becomes more natural and integrated into everyday communication. The relationship between openness and trust. Trust grows when partners consistently communicate with honesty and transparency. When individuals hide emotions or withhold concerns, trust can erode. Therapy helps partners understand that secrecy, whether intentional or unintentional, creates emotional barriers that inhibit connection. Open communication allows couples to clarify expectations, negotiate boundaries, and articulate unmet needs. As partners witness each other's honesty, trust is reinforced, making future communication more fluid and secure. Endurance as a long-term process of communicative growth. Understanding. Endurance in relationships. Endurance refers to persistence, commitment, and the willingness to engage in continuous effort. Unlike openness, which focuses on emotional transparency, endurance emphasizes the long-term maintenance of communication skills and relational habits. Sustainable communication requires endurance because relationships are dynamic. Conflicts arise, external stressors appear, personal circumstances change, and emotional cycles fluctuate. Without endurance, couples may revert to old habits, cease applying therapeutic insights, or disengage during difficult moments. Therapy as a training ground for endurance. Therapy provides repeated opportunities for couples to practice communication skills. Over time, this repetition builds endurance. For example, partners learn to stay engaged during disagreements instead of shutting down. They practice responding calmly rather than reacting impulsively. They continue conversations even when emotions run high. Through consistent therapeutic sessions, endurance becomes ingrained in the relationship's communication culture. Conflict resolution and the role of endurance conflict is inevitable in intimate relationships. The key factor is not the absence of conflict, but the capacity to resolve it respectfully and effectively.